Good morning, children, and welcome back to the digital classroom of Vikram Juneja. In my previous video, I concluded scene 9 of Act 2 of The Merchant of Venice. In present video, we are going to deal with scene first of Act 3 of The Merchant of Venice. And this particular video is going to conclude with the next video coming up for Act 3 Scene 1. Act 3 Scene 1 will take 2 videos for it to complete. This particular scene opens with Salerno and Salanio talking about the losses of Antonio. Salanio speaks first. He says, "What news on Rialto? What is the news on Rialto? You know, Rialto is the Venetian stock exchange." To which Salerno replies, "While yet it lives there unchecked that Antonio hath a ship of rich lading wrecked on the narrow seas, the Godwins. I think they call the place a very dangerous flat and fatal, where the carcasses of many a ship lie buried." So basically, what he's trying to say is, well, there's a rumor that Antonio had a ship carrying expensive cargo that shipwrecked in English Channel on the Godwin Sands, a very dangerous sandbar. Okay. As they say, if my gossip report be an honest woman of her word. So he says, if my gossip turns out to be an honest woman's statement, it is going to be true. Salanio, to which says, "I would she were as lying a gossip in that as ever napped ginger, or made her neighbors believe she wept for the death of a third husband." So Salanio hopes that I hope this new rumor is a lie, like the gossiping widow's claim that she was sorry her third husband died. But it's true, he says. But that is true, without any slips of prolixity or crossing the plain highway of talk, that the good Antonio, the honest Antonio, oh, that I had a little good enough to keep this his name company. He says, "I don't want to get all mushy and go on, but the good Antonio, the honest Antonio, oh, if I only had little good enough to match his name, the company." Salerno says, "Come, the full stop." He says, "Come on, get to the point." To which Salerno replies, "Ha, what sayest thou? Why, the end is, he hath lost a ship." He says, "What are you saying?" "Well, the point, the crux of the matter is that he has lost a ship." Salerno says, "I would it might prove the end of his losses." Salerno, as a friend, wishes that Antonio doesn't get to suffer any more losses, and he hopes that all he loses is what he has got to know just now. Salerno says, "Let me say amen betimes, lest the devil cross my prayers, for here he comes in the likeness of a Jew." So he says, "Let me say amen and complete your prayer before comes a devil in the form of a Jew," because they see Shylock coming and he would like to end the prayer before Shylock comes and interrupts the prayer. Enters Shylock. Now, what does Shylock have to say? Now, of course, Salerno and Salerno check out with Shylock. "How now, Shylock? What news among the merchants? How is it going, Shylock? What's the news among the merchants?" To which Shylock replies, "You knew none so well as you of my daughter's flight." Shylock is agitated. Shylock is agitated to the point that his daughter, Jessica, has fled away with Lorenzo. So he's blaming Salerno and Salerno as well. He says, "You knew none. No one knew as well as you did about my daughter's plan to run away." To which Salerno replies, "That's certain. I, for my part, knew the tailor that made the wings he flew withal." Salerno says, "That's true. I even knew the tailor who made the disguise she wore when she ran off." Okay. To which Salerno replies, "And Shylock, for his own part, knew the bird was fledged, and then it's the complexion of them all to leave the dam." So Salerno is trying to teach Shylock and saying that, "Shylock, you should have known that your daughter was ready to run away. It's natural for the children to actually start their own life when they grow old. But you never realized. You wanted to bind your child. Your child was bound to flee away." Okay. And Salerno actually continues from there. He says, "And Shylock, for his own part," okay, now this is done. Shylock says, "She is damned for it." Shylock cannot, of course, forgive his child for that. He says, "She will be damned for what she has done." To which Salanio replies, that's certain if the devil may be her judge. Salanio says, that's true. She will be damned if the devil is going to judge her action. Of course, if the God is going to judge her action, she has done the right thing. She has run away from her house and she is free from the clutches of Shylock. But if the devil is to actually be the judge, then of course it is obvious for her to be damned. To which Shylock says, my own flesh and blood to rebel. So Shylock says that she was my own flesh and blood and she rebelled against me. Salanio says, out upon it, old Carrion rebels it at these years. Salanio says, no, your flesh still rebels at your age. To which Shylock replies, I say my daughter is my flesh and blood. He says, I mean my daughter is my flesh and blood and she has rebelled against me. Salerno replies to that, there is more difference between thy flesh and hers than between jet and ivory, more between your bloods than there is between red wine and Rhenish wine. But tell us, do you hear whether Antonio have had any losses at sea or no? To which Salerno replies, you two are totally different. Yeah, it means you, Shylock, and your daughter, Jessica, are totally different. Your flesh is more different from hers than coal is different from ivory. So he is making it very clear that though they are biologically the same, but they are different in their approach, in their behavior towards life. There is more difference between your blood than between red wine and Rhenish wine. So he says that the difference between you and your daughter is more than the difference between red wine and the Rhenish wine. Then he wants to inquire from Shylock, did you hear anything about Antonio's losses at sea? To which Shylock replies, there I have another bad match, a bankrupt, a prodigal who dare scarce show his head on the Rialto. Shylock says, that's another bad deal I've had, a bankrupt, a spendthrift, who now has to hide his head on the Rialto, a beggar. Okay, he was a beggar that was used to come as smug upon the mart. Let him look on his bond. He was wont to call me an ussurer. Let him look to his bond. He was wont to lend me money for Christian courtesy. Let him look to his bond. So Shylock calls Antonio a beggar who used to look as so smug in front of other merchants. Let him think about his bond. He says his debt. He liked to call me a loan shark. Let him think about his debt to me. He says that, and he says that this person who used to lend money as a favor between Christians, but now he has to think about his debt which he runs against me. Salerno replies, why, I'm sure, if he forfeit, thou wilt not take his flesh, what's that good for? So Salerno is trying to confirm from Shylock that if Antonio is not able to pay back the debt which he has taken from Shylock, Shylock is not going to retaliate in any manner, but you won't take his flesh if he cannot pay. What's that good for? To which Shylock replies, to bait with fish withal. If it will feed nothing else, it will feed my revenge. Shylock says, I'll use it for fish bait. You can't eat human flesh, but it feeds nothing else. It will feed my revenge against Antonio. He has disgraced me and hindered me 500,000, laughed at my losses, mocked at my gains, scorned my nation, thwarted my bargains, cooled my friends, heated mine enemies. And what's his reason? I'm a Jew. So he says, this man, he has insulted me. He has costed me 500,000 ducats. He has laughed at my losses. He has made fun of my earnings. He has humiliated my race, thwarted my deals, turned my friends against me. He has railed up my enemies. And why? The only reason is that I am a Jew. Hath not Jew eyes, hath not Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions, fed with the same food, hurt with the same weapons, subject to the same diseases, healed by the same means, warmed by and cooled by the same winter and summer as a Christian is. So he further says that because I'm a Jew, he has actually done everything against me. Doesn't a Jew have eyes? Doesn't a Jew have hands, bodily organs, a human shape, 5 senses, feelings and passions? Doesn't a Jew eat the same food, get hurt with the same weapons, get sick with the same diseases, get healed by the same medicine, and warm up in summer and cool off in winter just like a Christian? Then he continues, he says, if you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? So he says that if you prick us with a pin, don't we bleed? If you tickle us, don't we laugh? If you poison us, don't we die? And if you treat us badly, won't we try to get revenge? If a Jew wrong a Christian, what is his humility? Revenge. If a Christian wrong a Jew, what should his sufferance be by Christian example? Why? Revenge. So he says, if of course we are like you in every respect, if a Jew offends a Christian, what is a Christian supposed to do? Christian is supposed to take revenge. Similarly, if a Christian offends a Jew, what is a Jew supposed to do? By Christian example, of course, he shall also seek revenge. The villainy you teach me, I'll execute, and I shall go hard, but I'll better the instruction. So he says, you have taught me to be a villain, how to behave badly. As you Christians taught me how to behave, you'll be lucky if I don't undo my teachers. So this is basically the speech on universal humanity which Shylock comes up with, where he is actually trying to showcase his agitation as to how he has dealt so very badly at the hands of, he has been dealt so very badly at the hand of Christians. So he says, I'm so obdurate now that I am going to seek revenge from Antonio. Children, with this was with regard to the first part of the first scene of Act 3 of The Merchant of Venice. We are going to continue with Act 3 of The Merchant of Venice, Act 3, Scene 1, and complete and conclude this particular scene in our next video. I'm going to attach a worksheet with 3 questions. Okay, with this particular video, I would expect you to attempt this worksheet in your fair literature and English notebooks. Okay, I hope you'll do that, and please do that neatly in your fair literature and English notebooks. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. God bless you all. Take care. See you.